Is Cooper Kupp the best receiver in the NFL? I would say resounding yes. So you may have heard it before. Cooper Kupp doesn't belong ahead of Davante Adams because he hasn't been doing it as long as Adams. He hasn't been as good as Adams. He hasn't been on the level of DeAndre Hopkins or any of those receivers you want to name. However, I have some information here that I'm going to throw in this video that might change your mind. Before I can do that, I need you to hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying this video or you enjoyed other videos in the past. And on top of that, I need you to hit the like button. All right, thank you. Now that we got that taken care of, let's get into the video. Cooper Kupp has shown you that he is a damn good receiver, but is he the best receiver in the NFL? And is that even fair to suggest? Actually, yes. And if anyone's going to say that one season doesn't change anything, guess what? It hasn't just been one season. It may have been one season of gaudy numbers to the point where they're better than just about anything we've seen since Calvin Johnson of the Detroit Lions. That's fair. But it would be considered disrespectful to act like Cooper Kupp hasn't been a model of consistency and hasn't been putting up gaudy numbers since he joined the league. You don't believe me? All right, here's a chart for you. Cooper Kupp, in all time, wide receiver touchdowns and yards per game, minimum of 4 seasons. So this is not including Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson because, yes, obviously they've had great seasons. One's played 1 year, one has played 2 years. So that is going to be very inflated. I understand Cooper Kupp has only been in the league since 2017, but I think it's to the point where now these are fair sample sizes and he has to continue, but he is on a great pace, a legendary pace, if you will, and I'm going to show you. So as you can see here, Cooper Kupp, I highlighted his name. He's right around Odell Beckham Jr. He's right above DeAndre Hopkins. He's above Torrey Holt. And he's in that same type of, bunch of names there that you see Lance Allworth, Jerry Rice, Marvin Harrison. Now, the best receivers on this list are going to be the ones that tend to lean to the right and upward. And obviously Calvin Johnson leads that. Then you have Antonio Brown, you have Michael Thomas all the way to the other side, and Julio Jones. We know Michael Thomas because he got unbelievable amount of receptions thrown and targets his way over the last couple of years that Drew Brees had in the league. Julio Jones is incredible for career yards per game. And I understand stats aren't everything, but they are something. And so that is the thing here. Cooper Kupp does not lead in career yards per game, and he doesn't lead in career touchdowns per game. As you can see, Don Hutson is absolutely insane, almost averaging a touchdown per game. Incredible numbers. But Cooper Kupp is right in that middle section where he is above the average of 70. He's above that. He's leaning closer to the 80 yards per game average, and he's just about over 6 touchdowns per game, which is incredible because it puts him among pretty much all of the great receivers. Antonio Brown averaged more yards per game, but he averaged just about the same amount of touchdowns per game, as you can see here. Calvin Johnson averaged a little bit more than both of those, but it's also Calvin Johnson. If that's not enough for you, I have another chart here. So, while yards per game can absolutely be working more in Cooper Kupp's favor and be a little skewed, I decided to make it a per 16 game average here, and that's what you're seeing in this chart. This is all-time receivers, so you're getting the best of the very best, and they're per 16 game averages. That's why Don Hutson is so high, because he didn't play 16 games a year. Cooper Kupp, I know, just played 17, but that's why we made it 16, because it's easier to argue. Now, look at this. Cooper Kupp is highlighted. If you can't see there, he's right on top of Antonio Brown's name. He's also right around where Tyreek Hill is. He's above Torrey Holt, Demaryius Thomas, Michael Thomas. He's above A.J. Green. He's above Art Monk. There are guys that are ahead of him in yards, but aside from that, for the most part, there's not a ton. And as you can see here, Cooper Kupp is in good standing. The only guys that are ahead of him in yards are Calvin Johnson, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Hopkins, and Julio Jones. That's it. And when you think about it, Cooper Kupp is 4th in receptions all time, which you don't even see on this list. He's 4th in per 16 game average receptions all time. He's 6th in yards, and he's 15th in touchdowns. He's averaging 9 touchdowns per 16 games. That's 15th, as I said. And let's not act like the Triple Crown season didn't help his case, but his numbers were still very good. He's been a model of consistency, and he just had an opportunity to link up with Matthew Stafford. If you're looking at strictly his per-game basis, 4th in receptions all-time with 6.1. He's 6th in yards all-time with 77.7, and he's 15th in touchdowns with 0.56. But as I always hear, it's Davante Adams who's better. He's been doing it longer. You're right. He has been doing it longer. However, here's where Adams is in accordance with Cooper Kupp. While Cooper Kupp is 4th in 16-game averages, Adams is 9th. And I'm not absolutely not at all shaming him being in 9th, having 92.3 receptions in a 16-game average, but it's not as good as Kupp. How about yards? Yards, Kupp is 6th with 1,243 in a 16-game average season. Davante Adams, 11,120. That is 23rd. How about touchdowns? Adams is 7th. Kupp is 15th. 1.06 touchdowns more than Cooper Kupp does in a 16-game season. So what do we take away from this? Cooper Kupp is among the elite right now. Whether you like it or not, Cooper Kupp's name is all around. You saw it on the chart. It's swirling around the Jerry Rices of the world. Now, let's not get in the whole, if we took away Jerry Rice bad seasons when he was really way past his prime and all of that, it'd be even more impressive. But the point is that Cooper Kupp isn't just a guy. He didn't just have one really good season. He's been doing it, and he's been doing it with Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford for only 1 year. That's another thing. If you want to use Davante Adams in an argument, cool, but let's not act like Davante Adams hasn't had Aaron Rodgers throwing him the ball since he joined the league. Cooper Kupp has had Jared Goff. Jared Goff was good in 2017. He showed promise in 2018. 2019, he fell off. And then 2020, he was just average. Honestly, slightly below average. Then Matthew Stafford comes to the equation, and all of a sudden, Cooper Kupp has a career year. But not just a career year, an all-time season. Potentially the greatest season in the history of receivers. And why do I say that? Because when you factor in his postseason, he plays 21 games. He ends up with 2,400 receiving yards. He ends up with 22 touchdowns. Hard to really beat that. 178 receptions. Very hard to beat that. The point of this video is not to say that Cooper Kupp is good. Because obviously, he's very good. Very good at football. Very good at catching the ball. Very good with running with it. But the point of this is for anybody out there that believes that Cooper Kupp doesn't deserve to be considered the best wide receiver coming into this year simply off of one good season. It's not that he's just done it once. He had a very good rookie year, over 800 yards. His second year, he was having a great year and tore his ACL. His third year, he had 1,100 yards, and that was the downfall of the Rams and Jared Goff. They even missed the playoffs. The next year, Jared Goff simply didn't even want to throw the ball down the field, so it was dinking and dunking for the most part, and so he missed 1,000 yards by 26 yards. And then Matthew Stafford comes to the equation, and he goes for over 1,900 yards. Coincidence? I think not. It doesn't mean that Cooper Kupp isn't good. And it doesn't mean that Stafford carried him either. Both things can be true, that both Stafford and Cooper Kupp were great and weren't in the best scenario. Is Cooper Kupp the best receiver in the NFL? I would say resounding yes. He's proven that. Sure, one season where he blew up to the point where we've never seen before. I've seen one-year wonders. This guy's far from it. As long as the guy stays healthy, he is the best receiver in the National Football League. Justin Jefferson has every opportunity in the next couple of years to make Cooper Kupp's averages look like nothing. And it's not like Cooper Kupp is the greatest receiver of all time, but he is among the greatest on those charts I just showed you. So in conclusion, the Triple Crown winner, the guy that people are drafting number one in fantasy, there's a reason for it. If you want to argue Adams, I'm not going to say you're wrong, but if you want to argue Adams and your argument is that Cooper Kupp hasn't done it as long as Adams, then why aren't Adams' averages on the level of Cooper Kupp's when Adams has had Aaron Rodgers his entire career? The only guys ahead of Cooper Kupp are guys like Keenan Allen and Michael Thomas, who received more targets. Guys like Antonio Brown and Julio Jones, who honestly was on a pace unlike anybody before. Those are the only guys. Julio Jones, Antonio Brown, Keenan Allen. Those are the only guys. Cooper Kupp is clearly elite. That was not even in the argument. But is it fair to call him the number one receiver? Absolutely. And I believe he is. We'll see coming into this season, but I do hope you guys enjoyed this quick little video. I just wanted to throw it together because I thought it was really fascinating. Obviously, stats don't mean everything, and there's a lot of things that are out there, more in-tune analytics, things like WAR, things like EPA and all of that, and of course, DVOA and defensive yards above replacement average, whatever you want to call it. There's so many things out there. But I just figured I would put this together, and honestly, shout out to my father, Jason Ellenbogen, because he kind of gave me this idea. Look, Cooper Kupp's stats do stack up very well all time, and I do have to say, the arguments against him have become absolutely ridiculous. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying with the Stafford thing. Cooper Kupp was not in the elite status. He was never in this tier. So now that he all of a sudden has peaked his way to the top and is literally on top of the world right now, people cannot accept that. Some people can't accept it. Some people can't even believe it. Some people can't process it. But regardless of if you can process it, believe it, or accept it, it's a fact. Cooper Kupp is not only an elite receiver, but he might actually be the best receiver in football. I believe he is. Where is he on your list? Did I change your mind? Did you find this interesting? Whatever. Leave it in the comment section below. And I need you, before you leave, to smash that thumbs up button and smash the subscribe button if you enjoyed this video or you've enjoyed other videos and you've been pushing it back. If you're on mobile phone, I need you right away to hit that bell icon so you never miss another Jake Ellenbogen video. But I'm Jake Ellenbogen, and I approve this message. You guys take care. Later.